So for Valentine's Day this year, my wife got me a copy of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on the Switch too. I've been looking forward to this game for years. I think it got announced like the same time that Samus Returns did on the 3DS, which is absolutely insane. I think that was in like 2017 or somewhere around there. So just it's been in development for such a long time. But before I played that one, I still had to play Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Prime Hunters. So while I was playing Metroid Prime 3, I decided to order a copy of this game as well and play through it. I kind of played through them simultaneously, and that was a lot of fun, just kind of switching off between a console game in the series and then a handheld game as well. But one thing I did learn while playing Metroid Prime Hunters was how good it is. Like, this is seriously it might be the most underrated Metroid Prime game, or just Metroid game in general. At least from the ones that I've played so far, I definitely think it is. Metroid Prime Hunters does an amazing job at bringing the Prime games to a handheld gaming system, which of course you do have that now with the Switch, but at the time I'm sure that was absolutely crazy. And looking back on it now, I did play this game. I did borrow it from my dad years ago, but I couldn't make it past the first boss. So I was just really looking forward to actually jumping back into this game and actually playing all the way through it. So Metroid Prime Hunters has a very Prime feel to it. It definitely still has that Metroid, that main focus of exploration. But this time around, as opposed to more traditional items, you're collecting different weapon types. So you have a blue, like, shock weapon, you have an orange, like, grenade launcher, you have a red sniper rifle, and then you have this purple, like, beam projectile. It kind of ricochets, as well as this green. It's kind of like a repeater. You can hold it down and it's just like an automatic weapon. And then you have like this yellow kind of like little shock charge weapon. Despite, not having traditional power-ups, I do think that the progression, it worked absolutely fine for me. I do think it still very much feels like a Metroid game in that sense. And of course you do need those upgrades to make it through different colored doors, as well as take out these little shields that appear throughout the game that are color-coded as well. And Metroid Prime Hunters, in the game, your main objective is to locate this ultimate power source. You're kind of given this mission from the Galactic Federation to get to it and either capture it and claim it for yourself, or I guess in the case of the game, it's more for the Galactic Federation. And if you can't, then destroy it. So you go on this mission, and other bounty hunters learn of this power source as well. So they all want it for their own personal reasons. And in the game, you encounter these bounty hunters in sort of these mini boss fights. And I thought that was a super cool part of the game. It just kind of helps to make the world feel more alive. Like, there's just more stuff going on. You never know if you're going to open a door and then, have to face off against a bounty hunter here and there. I thought that was a super cool part of the game, and it definitely keeps you on your toes. It definitely adds to the suspension in the game. Another thing that I was really impressed with is the atmosphere in this game, which I think is definitely crucial in any Metroid game. It definitely has, your more eerie and desolate sections where there's just kind of like the background music. It's not really music, it's just kind of more like ambient noise. But then there are more music-based tracks in different areas as well. And the music that there is in this game, it's really good. It's really well done. The main menu theme especially I thought was really good, but my favorite track in the game would have to be from the planet. One of the planets you go to is, I believe it's called Arctera. Could be wrong, but it's very similar to Phendrana Drifts, at least the music track is. However, it's got like a more eerie, kind of empty feel to it, which really matches with the like kind of desolation of the planet. It's just been like completely frozen over, and it doesn't feel as alive as Phendrana Drifts did. While that was a cold location on Talon 4, it still had animals and different creatures that were alive there. There were different animals flying around and everything, whereas this particular planet really didn't have that. One aspect of the game, though, that a lot of people really look back on fondly, maybe even more so than the single player, is the multiplayer. And personally, I didn't really get to experience it much, so I can't really talk about it myself. But, you know, from what a lot of people have mentioned, it does seem like it's really well done and a lot of people do really enjoy it. I did try to play it a little bit with my uncle, but I guess the 3DS has some issue with download play in this game for some reason, so it kept kicking us out. We did get to play part of one match, and it definitely does seem pretty fun. So while I personally really enjoyed this game, I think the biggest drawback for anyone jumping into it now is the control scheme. And the main control scheme in the game is to use your left thumb, of course, on the D-pad to control movement, and then the left bumper is to shoot, but the main controls, really everything else, is on the touch screen. So you aim with the touch screen, you change your weapon with the touch screen, you go into morph ball mode on the touch screen, and with that, it's really heavily touchscreen based, like a lot of DS games were. However, there is a secondary option, which I did play through most of the game using that, and that's where you can use the buttons like A, B, X, and Y to actually aim and look around, and then you can jump with the right bumper. And then there's still a few things you do need to use with the touchscreen, but it was pretty easy to just reach over and do that with my thumb. But ultimately, toward the end of the game, I decided to swap to stylus aiming, as it got to the point where I needed a lot more precision in my shots, and I really wish I had gone through and played the entire game with the stylus, as it was just a much better experience overall. However, I still had a blast playing this game regardless. So despite the control scheme, I do definitely think it's still worth playing, especially if you're a fan of the other Prime games and just for whatever reason haven't gotten this one yet. Just like I hadn't played through it up until this point. But I do think that it's a great entry in the series, and I'm really glad that I picked up a copy. But this is definitely one game that I think would benefit highly from a re-release or remaster, just with some quality of life improvements, particularly in the control scheme, just making it a bit more accessible to more gamers. But Metroid Prime Hunters, for me, I'm personally really happy to have picked this game up and have played through it. I think it's a fantastic game, and it was definitely worth my time. And overall, I'd give this game a solid 9 out of 10. That might seem a little high for some people, but I do definitely think that this is a fantastic game. I think the only thing really holding it back was the hardware limitation. So even after taking that into account, though, I still think this is a phenomenal game. Definitely give Metroid Prime Hunters a try if you're interested in this game. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.